So you're thinking about moving to the greater Seattle area, but you're still trying to figure out exactly where you want to be. In this video, I'm going to give you a full rundown of the entire metropolitan area, all three counties. I'm going to give you an idea of the median home prices in each location, as well as some background info on why people live in that specific location and what the general pros and cons might be. This is going to be a complete overview of the metropolitan area. So if you're somebody that's looking to move over here, trying to figure out where the best spot might be for you, this is probably going to be a very great and informative video for you to sit through. Now, this one's going to be longer than average for sure. I'm not sure exactly how long this video is going to take. Take a look down below and you'll see how long it ended up being. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this into 7 different general locations and mark it with chapters here in the video. So if you don't want to sit through this entire video and you've already eliminated some areas and you're only interested in some other specific areas, you can look down in the chapters here and kind of navigate through this video on what you might be interested in. Otherwise, would love to have you for the whole thing. As always, I'm Bryce Greenleaf, local real estate broker here in the greater Seattle area. Love helping you guys out, those of you that reach out to me here from YouTube when you're looking to buy a home in the greater Seattle area. If that sounds like you, feel free to reach out. Happy to help. But like I said, we're going to go through the entire metropolitan area. Let's just jump right in and get started. All right, so you can see that I've got the map pulled up here. And we've got Seattle right here. So like I said, we're going to go over the whole metro area. So if I zoom out a little bit, when I talk about the metro area, we're talking about this area through here. This is basically the whole Seattle metropolitan area. You've got Snohomish County here. You've got King County here, and then you've got Pierce County down here. So these are the 3 counties. This is what I'm going to cover on this video. So let's just start off. We're going to start off right in the middle in King County, Seattle and the east side, then we'll go up to Snohomish County, then we'll go down south. And so again, this video is marked in chapters on really 7 different general locations within these 3 counties. So if you need to skip through, go ahead, but I'm going to start right here in Seattle. So, all right, we've got Seattle right here. The median home price in Seattle right now is $950,000. And so Seattle's a big area, and so there's a few different things that factor into this. Now, $950,000, that is the residential median home price. Now, there's a lot of condos, there's a lot of townhomes that you can get for, quite a bit cheaper. You can get for condos starting in the $400,000 to $500,000 range and up from there. There's a lot of townhomes, new construction all over the place. So I'm not going to dive extremely deep into Seattle again. I don't want this video to be too long, but in general, you're going to find a lot of that condo downtown living here, of course, right in downtown. And if you want a little bit more of that kind of suburbia type feel, but within the city, you're typically going to go further north up here. So you've got Ballard, Green Lake, Laurelhurst, everything over here. This is going to be a little bit more expensive on average than this Seattle proper as a whole. Up here on average, home prices are about $1 million, median home prices. As you get over here to Magnolia and Queen Anne, another very popular area for residential living, median home prices there go up to about 1.2. And then as you get down to the south side of Seattle, those home prices drop median to about 800,000. So I found a lot of my clients that are looking to be in Seattle, they either are looking for downtown condo, townhouse type living, and they're going to be close to downtown. They're looking for a bit younger of a vibe, with still a lot of condos or really accessible residential homes to what Capitol Hill has to offer over here. Or I see a lot of my clients and buyers end up in the Magnolia, Queen Anne, or north of Lake Union area because they find that to be the area that they like in Seattle a lot more than maybe the south side. So that's just a general overview there of Seattle. Now, as we go over to Bellevue, we're going to go to the east side here. So you've got Bellevue, which home prices here are $1.8 million. And Bellevue, again, is that other super urban area that you can live in. And now here in Bellevue, you've got right downtown, and Bellevue feels way different than downtown Seattle does. Downtown Seattle feels older. It's kind of that more creative feel, a little bit more artistic, and also has a lot more issues that it struggles with when we talk about the homelessness and crime and all that kind of stuff that you see on the news with Seattle. As you go over here to Bellevue, that is not the case. Bellevue feels a lot cleaner to a lot of people. It feels a lot bougier as well, and what comes with that is maybe it feels a bit more stale and not quite as creative and unique as downtown Seattle, but definitely a good area. So you can live that urban lifestyle here in Bellevue if you want a high-rise condo or something like that. Right here in Bellevue and downtown, you have Town Square here, ton of shopping, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. As we zoom out from the downtown area, you've got Clyde Hill and Medina and Yarrow Point and Hunts Point. This is the most expensive spot really in Washington State. Lots of very, very, very wealthy people here for good reason. Great neighborhood. A lot of homes with great views of Lake Washington. As you start to get to the east side of Bellevue and the south side of Bellevue, it starts to get a little bit more affordable than that side. So you're talking about Factoria, Cougar Hills, Crossroads, Lake Hills, all the way through here. A lot of residential homes scattered all throughout here. You're going to have a wide mix of everything, a lot of 50s, 60s, and 70s built homes, a lot of one-off new construction luxury homes. There's stuff all over the place here in Bellevue. Continuing with the trend of the east side, if you just go over on the other side of the lake, Lake Sammamish here, right in Sammamish, that median home price is also $1.8 million. And so people live over here in Sammamish, again, super commutable to all the high-paying tech jobs on the east side, but feels a little bit further removed from the city and a little bit slower paced than it does maybe living right in Bellevue. A lot of great, really nice luxury homes, really nice neighborhoods through here. You can find a wide variety of all sorts of different things in Sammamish. Older homes, newer homes, subdivisions, a little bit more property, lakeview, lakefront, all sorts of things there in Sammamish. Just south of Sammamish, continuing with the east side trend here, this is Issaquah. Issaquah's median home price drops a little bit. It's $1.5 million right now. Now, Issaquah is a little bit further removed, but still very commutable to the Bellevue area if you're somebody that works there. You've got somewhere like the Issaquah Highlands, which is much newer, a lot of new construction, a newer development, newer hospital, newer shopping up in that Highlands area, some townhomes and condos as well. What some people really love about Issaquah is how naturey and how much it feels like you're in the Pacific Northwest. There's lots of neighborhoods, specifically here in the Tiger Mountain area, that are just absolutely beautiful, wooded, really feels like you're living in the woods, but it's a pretty large neighborhood and you're not secluded at all. And you also have great access down I-90 here to the pass. So if you enjoy outdoor activities, you enjoy hiking and really being in nature, Issaquah is really a great spot for that. It's also got a cool downtown, old town area, plenty of shopping and everything nearby as well. Very built out city. As we go a little bit further north, continuing with the east side here, we've got Redmond right in here. Redmond's median home price right now is also $1.5 million. And so here in Redmond, this is where Microsoft headquarters are, which is down in the Overlake area through here. So Redmond has a lot of different great neighborhoods, also has good access to outdoorsy, kind of feeling like you're in the Pacific Northwest as you get out here to Redmond Ridge and Union Hill. There's a lot of great trails and walkways and paths, as well as a lot of great neighborhoods really in this area. And so there's a lot to offer out there. You can also go to a place like Education Hill, which it's called Education Hill for a reason. Very school, family centered and focused, and super convenient to downtown. So you can get to all of your shopping, entertaining, and everything very, very quickly when you're there in the Education Hill area. Marymore Park, a great area as well. Great dog park. Kids events, kids sporting events, family, community events. It's a really cool area right there on the lake as well. Lastly, on the east side here that we'll talk about is Kirkland. Let me get over there. So Kirkland right here. Kirkland right here, the median home price is $1.6 million right now. So downtown, you're right on the water. It's a great little spot to be. Immediately surrounding the downtown area, if you want a residential home, but still walkable to downtown, you can visit a neighborhood like Norkirk or west of Market over here. These homes will all be, for the most part, walkable to downtown. It's just up the hill here, and some of them have amazing views of Lake Washington. Some really beautiful homes in here. It's not cookie cutter, a lot of different architectural styles, some older homes, some brand new construction, modern homes, and everything in between. As you get to the other side of the freeway here, you have Rose Hill, and it goes down here to Bridle Trails Park. There's some really great neighborhoods in here. This is a little bit more wooded through here, so if you're looking for a bit more of a wooded property, a bit more of a Pacific Northwest feel there, and you don't want to be necessarily right next to the water, there's some great properties through there. There's also a number of equestrian properties here near Bridle Trails. Lastly, what I'll talk about here in Kirkland is the north side of Kirkland, which is kind of the most affordable side of Kirkland, the Juanita area. So as you get through Juanita, you're still right on the lake here, a great park, beach park right there. You've got Totem Lake, which is a shopping center that has expanded quite a bit over the last few years with a lot of new stores and restaurants and stuff going in, so that's been really built out at this point as well. So a lot of demand here in Kirkland, a very desirable area. Lastly, which I'm going to loop into the east side here, it's debatable whether you want to call this east side or not, but this was the best category to put it in. This is Duval, as we're going a little bit further out here. So Duval, the median home price drops from the rest of the east side to $925,000. Now the thing about Duval here is, while it's not as centrally located as all the other cities on the east side, it is still commutable to those east side jobs. So there's a lot of people that have a tech job or any job there on the east side, whether it's Microsoft or anything else, that commute to and from Duval on a daily basis because it's still close enough. Now the thing about Duval is it's going to feel way different than any of these other east side cities. It's going to feel like a bit more of a semi-rural town. And when I say semi-rural town, it's a very small town. Right here, this is your main street, basically downtown. There's a number of restaurants and shops and whatnot that you can visit. And when it comes to your general shopping and stuff, there's like one big grocery store, that's Safeway. But otherwise, there's not a ton of shopping through here. So as we zoom out, if you're going to, make your Costco and Target runs and go to, doctor's offices and stuff, you may go to Woodinville or you may go to Redmond to get to and from those areas. But otherwise, a lot of people love living in Duval because it offers that semi-rural lifestyle. You can get acreage property all over the place. So if that's something that's really important to you, you want to feel like you live quintessential Pacific Northwest, you want to be in an area that's quieter, a little bit more peaceful, where you have more space, but you're still not living out in the boonies, Duval can be a great spot for that. They also have a number of new construction developments here in town as well. So if you're looking for a new construction home that's a bit more affordable than what you can find on the rest of the east side, that can be an option as well. All right, zooming out. That's going to finish our east side tour, basically. So now I'm going to go into the basically what's going to be North King and South Snohomish County through this corridor through here. So let's go through these cities right in here. So we've got Woodinville, which has a median price point of $1.45 million right now. So Woodinville, you get, of course, as you get north of Kirkland and you start to get further out, those prices are going to go down a little bit. But the thing about Woodinville is it's wine country. So wineries all over the place. People really love that. Again, there's a lot of very, very wooded neighborhoods through the Woodinville area, called Woodinville for a reason. So it still feels like quintessential Pacific Northwest living. It's a very, very nice spot to be. A little bit quieter than maybe the Kirkland, Redmond, Bellevue areas might be. And then you have in town here as well. So you've got shopping and restaurants and whatnot as well. As we get over to Bothell, its next door neighbor. Bothell's a little bit bigger, offers a bit more in terms of variety of different types of things here in Bothell. That median price point goes down a little bit to $1.2 million. And so here in Bothell, you've got right in the middle here in town, Bothell is split between King County and Snohomish County up to the north, King County on the south side of Bothell. But here in Bothell, you have a nice downtown area. So that's been really renovated over the last 10 to 15 years. And so for shopping and whatnot, some restaurants down there, and then there's a lot of condo living down there as well. As we zoom out, There's a lot of just residential neighborhoods all over the place here in Bothell. Just your basic, 1970s to early 2000s residential neighborhoods. All throughout the place, and then they've squeezed in a lot of new construction, smaller new construction developments wherever they can, because the demand is so high in Bothell. People love living in Bothell simply because it's still commutable. Again, Bothell here, it's still commutable to the east side with all those jobs, and that price point goes down a little bit. And then there's a lot of condos and townhomes in Bothell as well, very commuter friendly, so a lot of that going on. All right, right next to Bothell, we've got Lake Forest Park. I'm going to spend only just a minute here on Lake Forest Park. That median home price right now is, let me look here, 1.1 million. Oops, I don't know what happened there. Let's get out of that. All right, so 1.1 million here in Lake Forest Park. Lake Forest Park is kind of this hidden gem. Not a lot of people really talk about it. It's definitely a much smaller area. So Lake Forest Park here, located right on the northern edge of Lake Washington. It kind of blends in with Shoreline and shares those schools as well with Shoreline. And blends in with Kenmore as well right here. So it's kind of really tucked right in this small little area. But again, Lake Forest Park, a lot of wooded areas, makes you feel like quintessential, again, Pacific Northwest living. They've got a private beach club for Lake Forest Park residences only. You have to pay for it as well. But it's a private beach club right here. I worked at it as a high schooler. It's called the Civic Club. So if you want access to the lake with swimming and activities, picnic shelters, event center, all that kind of stuff, and you want to be able to pay for a membership, you've got to live right there in Lake Forest Park. Right next door, we have Shoreline. So Shoreline here, the median home price is $840,000. So Shoreline is a mix of a lot of different things. So it depends where in Shoreline you are, depending what you might feel about it. As you're on the east side of Shoreline, closer to Lake Forest Park, a lot of people really love that area. Again, a lot of wooded neighborhoods, kind of quintessential Pacific Northwest living, and a lot of just nice places to be. As you go to the far west side, close to the water in Shoreline, there's a lot of great and beautiful neighborhoods here as well, with amazing panoramic views of the Puget Sound and some really good spots. What I found with my specific clients is as they get along Highway 99 here, they like to be tucked off Highway 99 a bit. This was the main thoroughfare through Seattle up north before I-5 got put in the 1960s. And so here along Highway 99, you have a lot more of the stuff going on that people may want to avoid. And so they want to be tucked further away from that if they're going to be right in Shoreline. So those prices will vary quite a bit depending where you are. As you're closer to Highway 99, those prices will be a good amount more affordable and cheaper. As you get out to the west side and you get out to the east side, those prices will certainly start to go up. All right. So as we get into Edmonds here, now Shoreline is King County. Like I mentioned, now we're getting up completely into Snohomish County here. We've got an area like Edmonds. So Edmonds, really nice area, one of my favorites for sure. The median home price here in Edmonds is $1 million. So the nice thing about Edmonds is it's located right here on the Puget Sound, and so you have great access to the water, to a ferry, to beaches, dog beaches, all sorts of stuff. I actually proposed to my wife down here on this beach. I grew up going here as a kid all the time. Here on Main Street and right downtown, you've got a lot of restaurants, a lot of shopping. In my opinion, one of the best downtown areas to go to, whether you live in Edmonds or not, just one of the best downtown areas to go to on a nice, sunny, whether it's a summer day or any day through the year, it's still just a nice area to be, walk around, spend a day. And so that neighborhood right in the downtown area is called the Bowl of Edmonds. That's the most expensive neighborhood, the most desirable for sure. And of course, you have some homes with great panoramic views of the Puget Sound. I found that a lot of my buyers and people interested in this area also enjoy the Woodway and Sherwood Forest area through here on the south side of downtown. And then kind of the same thing with Shoreline, as I found once you're on Highway 99 here, people like to be tucked off further off Highway 99 a bit. As you get up Main Street and over the hill right here, this hill kind of brings you down into downtown Edmonds. that vibe kind of changes a little bit in Edmonds once you're over here versus as you get down the hill into downtown. So it's something that it's really helpful to get your feet on the ground and actually visit the Edmonds area if it's a location you're interested in. I mean, the one thing about Edmonds, it's still commutable 5 days a week to an area like Seattle. So if you work in downtown Seattle now, of course that commute isn't like easy. It's still a trek of a commute. But as you start getting further north of Edmonds, people really start to have a trouble with commuting 5 days a week. Now, maybe if you're a 2 to 3 day a week commuter, you'd be okay with going even further north. But a lot of people that are saying, hey, I got to commute 5 days a week to Seattle, Edmonds is kind of their line of the furthest north that they may want to go. And so that's important to keep in mind. Edmonds extends all the way up here to the Meadowdale area. I really enjoy the Meadowdale area as well. Some really nice neighborhoods. Again, some great views of the Puget Sound, some great parks, good schools. So Edmonds has quite a bit to offer. All right, before we keep going up north there, let's look at Mountlake Terrace. So you've got Mountlake Terrace right here. This is the city, the general area that I actually grew up in. Median home price right now is $700,000. What I will mention right next to it, I didn't put this on my list, is Briar. Briar is right next to Mountlake Terrace, a bit more desirable, a bit higher price points, closer to what you're going to find in Bothell in terms of those median home prices. But just keep in mind, Briar is kind of this really small. There's like 2 businesses in Briar. It's very small, but it's Mountlake Terrace's next door neighbor, and a lot of people really love living there. But Mountlake Terrace, much bigger than Briar. You've got the east side of the freeway here in Mountlake Terrace, and you've got just a ton of your general 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s built communities, neighborhoods all throughout here, very residential. And then on the other side of the freeway, you've got some neighborhoods as well. You've got older historic block built homes as well, kind of in the Old Town area of Mountlake Terrace. So Mountlake Terrace, I wouldn't say is super unique in any fact and offers anything super special that other places don't, other than maybe the light rail that's now here in Mountlake Terrace. So if you're somebody that's commuting down to work, the values here are going to start to go up. This light rail just opened about 2 months ago, and it gives you direct access to downtown Seattle. If you don't want to drive, you want to take the train, that's a good option with Mountlake Terrace, and something that it does offer that's a little bit more unique. All right, outside of Mountlake Terrace, we're going to go to Linwood here. So Linwood's median home price is $775,000. So again, very segmented here in Linwood. Again, the same thing I talked about with these cities on Highway 99. I found a lot of my buyers prefer to be off 99 a little bit. One of the kind of the more popular places with Linwood, really what Linwood is known for is right here in Alderwood area. So this is the Alderwood Mall, one of the biggest malls really on the north side of Seattle. And so this is where I grew up, shopping. If you live in Mountlake Terrace or you live in even Edmonds or Briar, some of these areas, you're going to go up to Linwood pretty often. All the shopping is up here, a lot of stuff up here, as well as, a number of restaurants and whatnot through there as well. In terms of residential neighborhoods, Alderwood Manor is an area that a lot of people enjoy ending up being in as well. The nice thing about being here in Linwood is the interchange with I-5 and I-405. So I have a number of couples who maybe one spouse works down in Seattle, the other works down in Bellevue. And so Linwood is this nice happy medium where they can be, and one of them can jump on 405, the freeway they need to get to Bellevue, and the other can jump on I-5, the freeway they need to get to Seattle. And it gives kind of that happy medium for both of them. So that's one of the unique things about being here in Linwood, is being right on the I-5, I-405 interchange. All right. Lastly, in this section, so again, this is the North King, South Snohomish County section. We're at Snohomish County now, of course. The last one we'll talk about here is Mill Creek, before we get further north. So Mill Creek right here. Again, Mill Creek has its, or I guess I should do the median home price here. Median home price in Mill Creek is $1 million right now. So Mill Creek has some very nice neighborhoods. I'd say when people compare Linwood and Mill Creek, they often like the feeling and the vibe of Mill Creek better. It feels a little bit slower paced, a little bit quieter, has a little bit more of an identity maybe than Linwood does, but it is a little bit further north. So for those that commute, that's even further that you're going to make that daily drive. So with Mill Creek, it's got Mill Creek Town Center through here. which again has a lot of shopping, a lot of restaurants, a lot of cool places. This is another nice area to spend a day if you want to just hang out, you want to get a bite to eat. They have some community events and stuff that go on there as well. And then in terms of like neighborhoods, there's a lot of residential neighborhoods all throughout here. I'd say the most popular one here is along Village Green Drive. This is the Country Club, the Mill Creek Country Club neighborhood through here, right on the golf course. So a lot of great homes through here. These are all built really 70s, 80s, 90s for the most part, early 2000s, and not cookie cutter like a lot of the new neighborhoods you see now where all the homes look the same. This is not cookie cutter. A lot of different architectural styles through here, and really gives a nice established neighborhood, but a really clean and community-centric feel. Mill Creek Country Club, definitely one of my favorite neighborhoods in Snohomish County. So that's one thing about Mill Creek that people really love. All right, so that wraps up that section. So the next section we're going to talk about here, I'm just going to label North Snohomish County. So we're going to go to the north side up here. We're going to start with Mukilteo over here on the water. So Mukilteo, again, one of those areas that a lot of people don't talk about, especially when you're coming from out of state. You may not have heard much about Mukilteo. The median home price here is $975,000. So with Mukilteo, you've got the downtown waterfront area, absolutely beautiful. And again, you've got neighborhoods surrounding homes immediately surrounding the downtown area. So those homes with great panoramic sound views available here in Mukilteo. You can go up to neighborhoods like Edgewater up here. This starts to blend into Everett, which we'll talk about in a second, but some really nice neighborhoods here on the water. You can even go up Mukilteo Speedway, and there's a lot of residential homes through here. Mukilteo is much smaller. In terms of like all your major shopping, there's grocery stores and some restaurants and whatnot. There's some great restaurants down here on the waterfront. But in terms of like a massive built out city, you're going to go over to Everett for a number of those things right over here for more of your maybe really large shopping trips or some other things, hospital, doctor's offices, things like that. But it's nice and close. People like the feel of Mukilteo because it feels quite a bit more slower paced than what an Everett does. And we'll talk about Everett in a second. Very unique, a lot going on there. And Mukilteo feels a lot nicer to people than maybe a lot of the spots in Everett will. And you can throw in these Boulevard Bluffs and Darlington neighborhoods, which are technically Everett addresses, but a lot of people feel a lot more like Mukilteo. All right. Let's go over east here. So we're going to go way over east. This is Snohomish. So Snohomish right here, median home price here in Snohomish right now is $900,000. You can see as we start going further north, those median home prices are going to start going down. Now, Snohomish, again, I often mention, like when I'm talking about the whole metropolitan area, if I have a list of my top 5 to 8 different cities in that metropolitan area, Snohomish is one of those for me. I really enjoy this area. The nice thing about Snohomish is, similar to kind of Duval that I talked about earlier on this video, it gives you a lot of semi-rural lifestyle type options with having town really close by and not being far out from everything. So you've got historic downtown right here, right along the riverfront. A great little downtown, lots of restaurants, shopping, all that kind of stuff. If you want to live walkable to downtown, a lot of historic homes right here on the north side of downtown and can provide really great lifestyle there. In terms of what Snohomish is really known for and what it offers is a lot of rural, semi-rural acreage type living. Whether you're in Phobes Hill here and you want an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, and you're still really quickly get to downtown, and outside of downtown, there's a lot of shopping through here as well. Your major grocery stores, Home Depot, restaurants, all that kind of stuff as well. You can go out to Three Lakes out here and feel like you're even further out and even more rural. And all these homes through here, you've got Bunkfoss as well. There's a lot of semi-rural or completely rural living here in Snohomish. So if you want more space, more peace, more privacy, acreage property, but you still want to be close to everything, that's a good option there. I do have some people that move to Snohomish that commute to a job in Seattle or Bellevue 2 or 3 days a week. If you're going to make that commute 5 days a week, it's not an easy drive. It could be pretty brutal, and I wouldn't do that. There's still people that won't do 2 or 3 days a week because it's still a long drive, but some people make that sacrifice to get more home and more property for their money. Go down south a little bit further here. I'll just quickly mention Monroe. Monroe here, the median home price is $900,000. So similar to that median home price in Snohomish. They offer similar things. I have a lot of people that prefer Snohomish over Monroe. Monroe feels a little bit bigger in their actual town area right along Highway 2. There's a lot of new construction that's gone on in Monroe versus Snohomish, not quite as much. The south side of Snohomish down here has, but Monroe right in town. The other thing about Monroe, similar to Snohomish, is you have a lot of that acreage property. So whether you're at Woods Creek or Chain Lake area, there, or even as you get down south into High Rock, there's a lot of semi-rural acreage type property available there in Monroe. All right, we're going to go up to Everett right here. So Everett median home price here is $700,000 right now. Now, Everett, depending where you are, feels very different. You hear things on the news about Everett. It's the largest downtown area north of Seattle, so it suffers from some of those issues that Seattle does at a smaller scale, of course, but Everett is very unique. You've got the downtown area. You've got North Everett here, which has a lot of residential homes that are older craftsman styles homes, early 1900s craftsman's colonials. There's some really nice view homes on the west side of North Everett. And so this is going to feel a lot older. And again, you're right close to downtown. So a lot of people aren't super fond of that area because of some of the stuff that goes on in there. As you go directly south of downtown as well, that feeling can continue through there. Port Gardner, View Ridge, Glacier View, Pinehurst, all through there. That similar feeling as you get through along I-5 can really continue on through there. But that's where you're going to have your more affordable housing. And there's certainly people that definitely enjoy living in that area. As you get further west, it becomes a little bit more desirable. Again, I mentioned Boulevard Bluffs and these neighborhoods over here. A lot of people love living here. It feels quite a bit more like Mukilteo than it will the North Everett side. And then lastly, on the south side of Everett, Everett's got a very large footprint. It goes all the way down here to Eastmont. You've got Larimer's Corner here, and this whole general area here, Silver Lake, Seattle Hill Road. A lot of people like being in here if they're in Everett. They choose this southeast section of Everett as you're closer to Snohomish, and very residential, very, a lot. There's a number of newer construction neighborhoods that have been put up here over the years, and a lot of 70s, 80s, 90s built homes as well, and it blends in with Mill. It's very close to Mill Creek, though it's an Everett address. So people kind of really love this corridor, and they feel like they can get a good amount of home for their money compared to some other areas, and they kind of aren't super fond of the North Everett area. Again, different strokes for different folks, but that's what I see a lot with my clients. Next, we're going to go to Lake Stevens here. So Lake Stevens is one of those areas that has blown up a lot recently. $775 is that median price point. A reason for that is because it's more affordable. I mean, $775,000 versus the median price in Snohomish down there was $900. So you get to Lake Stevens just a little bit further north, and you get a bit more for your money. Now, Lake Stevens is one of those areas where they're putting in new construction wherever they can possibly fit it. So if you're looking for a new home or a resale home that's only 5 years old or something, there's a lot of those here in Lake Stevens. They're all over the place. The great thing about Lake Stevens is the lake here. So you've got multiple entry points on the lake, public parks. You've got Lundin here. You've got a couple more on the other sides. So great for those that, have kids and they want to access the lake and give them all these parks have, like playgrounds and community events and swimming areas and all that kind of stuff. So they're very busy in the summer, and it's definitely become a very popular spot here to live in Lake Stevens. A lot of people focus on moving here because of the school district. They like it. It's, higher rated. They feel better about it versus some of the school districts immediately surrounding it. So that's drawn in a lot of people here to Lake Stevens. Then there's a lot of older resale homes as well. I mentioned the new construction, but a lot of older resale homes too. So right next to Lake Stevens, we'll talk about Marysville here. Marysville, median home price right now is $650,000. So Marysville is one area that often people compare to with Lake Stevens when they're deciding to move up here. Of course, you get a lot more bang for your buck in Marysville than maybe in Lake Stevens, but Marysville is also a bit more segmented on where those prices actually flow. As you're closer to I-5 here, you're North Marysville, you're on kind of this central area of Marysville, those prices are going to be a little bit cheaper. As you get closer to Highway 9 here, there's a lot more new construction here. So I've made videos on here on the past, and even down here, these are Marysville addresses. There's a lot of new build communities through here because there's not a lot of space for new construction as you go further south. So this is really the next area that's blowing up because of all the new homes and because of how many people want brand new construction. This is where those larger sprawling communities are really happening right here. There's a number of new communities here in the south side of Marysville. Now, in terms of like having a bit of a town, there's a little bit of a kind of what you might call a downtown area in Marysville. There's not much. One thing I will say about Marysville is the restaurant scene is kind of pathetic in my opinion. There's not a lot of great restaurants. There's a lot of your chain places and you can survive, but there's not a lot of great places to eat. But you can go down to Everett, which is close, and there's a lot, you know, for date night or whatever, there's better restaurants certainly down there. And then next we will talk about, we're going to talk about Arlington next. So Arlington right here. So here in Arlington, you have a few different things offered. A lot of acreage properties here that people really love. So whether you want to be out in Bryant or be out in Trafton, Arlington Heights, go down to Jordan, go down to Cisco Heights, there's a lot of acreage property through here and feels, again, quintessential Pacific Northwest living. Median home price here in Arlington is $625 right now. So again, people come in here for more affordable housing. This is not commutable to Seattle or Bellevue for work. So either you're working remote, you're on the north, working on the north side somewhere, something like that, or maybe you're retired. Arlington has its historic downtown area through here, so a lot of great restaurants and shopping, and they have a lot of community events, great things for the kids and whatnot to take them to festivals, events, and whatnot. So very cool downtown area. I enjoy that downtown area in Arlington. It's right along the river. And then the other side of Arlington is Smoky Point, where it meets with Marysville. So this is, there's a lot of your shopping here, so Costco, Target, everything right here. This is not a commercial airport. This is for private, smaller planes, municipal airport there in Arlington. And then you've got Glen Eagle, which is kind of your golf course community here in Arlington in the Smoky Point, southern part of Arlington area. And so that's really most of what Arlington has to offer. Lastly, here on the north side, this is the last city we'll talk about in North Snohomish County. This is Stanwood. So Stanwood is median price point right now is $650,000. So here in Stanwood, people move here often because they just want to be further out, want to be more peaceful, quiet living. So Stanwood has a larger footprint. You can go up to the north side of Stanwood here and find a number of neighborhoods and homes and tighter knit communities through there. You have a little bit of a downtown area here in Stanwood. It's not as built out as maybe like a downtown Arlington and some of the other spots, but there are some restaurants and some shopping and stuff down there. And then all through here on the south side of Stanwood, which is where a lot of people end up, there's a lot of acreage opportunities. And so that's a big draw to Stanwood, is just being out in nature, having 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, maybe being getting a lakefront property on one of the lakes here in the south side of Stanwood, or maybe it's getting a home with a view of the Puget Sound out here. So there's a lot of that here in Stanwood, and that's what really attracts people out to this area. All right. So that was section number 4, North Snohomish County. So we did this whole Seattle, Bellevue, all the way up north. Let's go down south now. All right, so I'm going to talk about South King County here. So as we get south of Seattle through here, we talked about the south side of Seattle proper. Now let's talk about South King County right here, just south of Seattle. So Burien you have right here. I'm going to talk very briefly about Burien. I found in all of this 7, basically, like I said, I'm dividing this video up into 7 corridors. You can see in the chapters here. Of the 7, this is the least desirable corridor that people, specifically that I work with, people that are relocating here and are trying to figure out the best place for them to live. This is the least popular of those kind of 7 categories. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. They're all going to feel relatively similar. Again, Burien right here, median price point is $730,000. It doesn't offer a ton of stuff. It's $730,000 because it's super commutable to Seattle for work. And there's some nice homes for sure as you get closer to the water here, some great view homes in Gregory Heights and whatnot, or you get out here to Normandy Park. There's some really nice homes through there. But a lot of people feel that for a few different reasons, it's very busy. It feels very hectic. It struggles from some of the issues. All of these cities that I'm going to talk about on the south side of Seattle here, in this specific category, struggle from some of the issues that downtown Seattle will. Just with the overall stuff kind of going on and riffraff going on in those areas, specifically like in White Center as you get to the north side of Burien. And then in Burien also you're located right next to the airport, right? And so some of these neighborhoods are going to have some more airline noise that you might want to avoid. I'll talk about Renton here next. So Renton, a little bit different than some of these other areas. I'd say a bit more desirable than some of these the other cities in this category for sure. This is the one that, of this whole category, this definitely has the most people kind of asking about and moving to. So median price point here in Renton is $800,000. Again, commutable to both Bellevue and Seattle. So again, it's kind of that happy medium. I talked about Linwood on the north side where you can get on I-405 or I-5, depend if you have, one spouse going to Bellevue, one going to Seattle. This is kind of similar. Renton, you can get up to Bellevue really easily, or you can go over to Seattle pretty easily as well. Now in downtown Renton, again, it's kind of that downtown area south of Seattle that has, a number of shopping and restaurants and stuff to do. Certainly in Renton, no shortage of things to do down there and things to access. But a lot of people prefer to live outside of the downtown area. Now you can get cheaper homes, older historic homes closer to downtown, but a lot of the people that I help specifically seem to kind of center their focus on the east side of Renton, specifically like Maplewood Heights, East Renton Highlands, Whitman Court out here. And so there's a lot of newer homes out here. There's still a lot of like 70s, 80s, 90s resale homes, but there is a lot of newer developments. And I'm not saying like brand new construction right now. There's not a ton going on in terms of brand new homes, but homes that are 5 to 10 years old, there's a lot of that here in Renton. All right, let's go to Kent next. All right, so Kent right here. Median home price here in Kent is $700,000. Again, Kent here located directly south of Seattle, right on 167, not too far off I-5. A lot of condos, a lot more affordable housing here, a lot of condos and townhomes, like I said. So people often will come down here for a bit more affordable housing. Again, all of these cities, they've got a lot of shopping and restaurants and things to do. So there's no shortage of that. Commuter friendly because you are right along the highway here. But that is generally Kent. I mean, there's neighborhoods out here. You get to East Hill, you go further out to Meridian Heights, and there's neighborhoods out here that people will look in, and a lot of just residential sprawling neighborhoods throughout that whole area. But otherwise, Kent isn't anything super unique. People, like I said, often come here for a little bit more affordable living. A little bit further south, Federal Way, I'm going to say just about the same thing I said about Kent. People typically come here to find a more affordable home. I don't have a lot of people relocating here, again, unless they want something in that price range. Median home price here is $625. You're getting further south, though. Commuting here to Seattle at this point is pretty tough. There's people that do it. That's why traffic is so bad, because there's a lot of people that do it. I don't think I would. But Federal Way here, located right down south of I-5, so struggles with some of those issues we talked about. There's definitely some nice homes as you get closer to the water that'll have some nice views, some good neighborhoods out here. Mirror Lake has some cool homes out there. But I'd say in general, Federal Way, not super desirable, doesn't offer anything super unique other than, Wild Waves theme park, which everybody that grew up here went here as a kid. This is the main water park in this entire Seattle metropolitan area. So that's a cool spot to go, whether you live in Federal Way or not. That's a cool spot to visit, especially if you have kids and you want to bring them there. And then lastly, in this kind of corridor I'm going to talk about is Auburn, Federal Way's next door neighbor. Median home price here is also $625,000. So Auburn, very similar to Federal Way, what I mentioned. Auburn has the most shopping here, a lot of shopping going on, mall, all sorts of stuff down there. Now, one thing I will say about Auburn that's a little bit different is Federal Way is a little bit more centrally located versus Auburn. You can go out to the east side here and find a bit more acreage property. So people do enjoy that, being on the east side of Auburn and finding a bit more space and, you know, living in a bit more of a wooded area, a bit more property and whatnot. So that is a trend that people will kind of look at Auburn for. And again, more affordable, right? If you're looking for acreage property and you don't want to be in some of the other areas where you're going to be spending over $1 million or well over $1 million, Auburn can provide that little bit cheaper acreage opportunities. All right. So we're going to go stay on the south side here, but we're going to go to southeast King County is what I'm calling this category. I'm dividing these up because a lot more people are focusing on these areas than this South King County that I just talked about. So Maple Valley right here. This is one of those areas that has grown quite a bit, that a lot of people ask about, a lot of people are interested in. Median home price here is $820,000. That's one of the reasons why. It feels a lot different when you compare like Seattle to Bellevue and the east side, and that transition of how those neighborhoods just feel so much different, and why the east side is so desirable. Similar to, you know, when you go from South King County over here over to Maple Valley. I was talking about going from Seattle to the east side to a smaller extent, right? But going from over here, South King County, to Maple Valley, a lot of people feel that this is a nicer area for them to be, and those home prices are still relatively affordable. Again, just over $800,000 for those median home prices. Maple Valley's seen a lot of new construction over the last 10 to 15 years. It's not big developments currently right now that are building, but there will be smaller ones as time goes on, but a lot of resales that are you know, not too old, only a few years old. They have a well-rated school district, which is one of the big reasons people ask me about Maple Valley and decide to move here, is because it's one of the best school districts on the south side. So people looking for a home, you know, $1 million or under, and they want a top-rated school district, Maple Valley is a city that sticks out, that fits those criteria that a lot of people then shift their focus to. In Maple Valley, you can also find a number of acreage properties, so it kind of gives you a blend of whether you want to be in just typical suburbia or you want more space and acreage property. You can find that in Maple Valley as well. Going down south, actually before we go down south there, we'll talk about, I put Covington in this category right here. The name isn't popping up on the screen. Covington is right here. It blends in Kent and Maple Valley. Covington is a little bit more affordable than Maple Valley. It's in a different school district. That's part of the reason why, or a big reason why. $700,000. So Covington does have some new construction going on. It's kind of that blend, again, that merges Kent and Maple Valley and transitions that area. But for those that want new construction that maybe can't quite afford Maple Valley, but don't want to be right in Kent, Covington is kind of that happy medium for them. So I'm not going to spend too much time on Covington other than that, but that's kind of what people are focused on when they look at Covington. Going down south to Black Diamond. Black Diamond's a little bit unique, and there's one specific reason people move here. For the most part, most people. Median home price here is $750,000 right now. So when I've talked about the lack of new construction in the Seattle metropolitan area because of the lack of land here, there's a lot of smaller developments that pop up all over the place, but we don't have massive sprawling new communities all over like some other states do. The exceptions are here on the south side, and one of those, really, there's two really big sprawling master plan communities that are still constructing new homes in them in what's called Seattle metropolitan in the 3 counties. This is one of them. We'll go over the second one here in a little bit. So this is 10 Trails. So 10 Trails here in Black Diamond. I've done a video on this. If you're looking for new construction, you want to be in a master plan communities with your neighbors all over the place, pretty consistent homes, you know, HOA, just your typical master plan community. 10 Trails is that spot that you may want to look in. Now, there's a bit of a you know, when I'm recording this video in early 2025, they just finished up a number of the homes and projects and phases, and the next kind of phase of homes will be rolling in later down the road here. So this specific time frame, there's not much available, but there will be in the future, and there's a lot of resales as well. So if you want a 2 or 3 or 5-year-old resale, there's a lot of those in 10 Trails. So that's a big reason, the main reason people move to Black Diamond. It's got a little bit of a town. You'll go to Maple Valley for a number of your things further north, and then if you want, if you don't care about 10 Trails, but you like the Black Diamond area, there's a lot of acreage opportunities through here as well. Very wooded, very Pacific Northwest feel. All right, so that's Southeast King County. That was section number 6. So we are going to go to the last section on my video here, section 7. So if you've watched this whole thing, thanks for sticking with me here. I greatly appreciate it. And we're going to talk about Pierce County as a whole right now. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the Pierce County cities I'm going to talk about. We'll go through them relatively quickly. Again, outside of South King County, this is the next part where I have the fewest people moving. However, there's really 2 exceptions on this list. 2 areas on this list of 7 cities in Pierce County that I'm going to talk about that a lot of people move to and a lot of people ask me about. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. I'll go over those 2 areas. But first, we're going to go over Tacoma. Tacoma right here, median home price. This is the cheapest, really the cheapest area in Seattle metropolitan that you can purchase a home, $500,000. So Tacoma, without disparaging Tacoma too much, Tacoma has improved quite a bit. There is some good areas. Downtown Tacoma has been revitalized a little bit. It still has some of that reputation for sure, which is why the price points are $500,000. Now you can find a lot of older craftsman homes right in town for pretty cheap. So if you're looking for a starter home or something and you want to be in the Tacoma area, there's definitely a lot of options for that through there. Now you can go out to University Place, which is another area on itself that you can find some homes and be a little bit outside of the city. You can go to Ruston or up here right along the water. There's certainly some nice homes in Tacoma and whatnot, and there's a lot of, Tacoma's huge, so there's a lot of shopping. You have the Tacoma Dome that has a ton of concerts and big events, big mall, just stuff everywhere. So Tacoma has a lot of stuff to offer in terms of things to do, but it is the cheapest place that you can really buy a home in the Seattle metropolitan area. So next is Gig Harbor. Gig Harbor is one of those 2 cities in this list that I'm talking about that a lot of people that I help move to, ask about, are interested in. So Gig Harbor, median price point is $800,000. Now, it's right next to Tacoma, but you feel very far removed from Tacoma. It feels like a different area completely. You're separated by the Tacoma Narrows Bridge here. And the one thing about Gig Harbor that people really love is it's absolutely gorgeous. As you drive in, you get the breathtaking views of the water, the marina, especially on a nice sunny day. Gig Harbor is a super pleasant place to live. The one thing about Gig Harbor, the reason the prices are only $800,000 right now, and I say only comparing it to the other really nice areas in the metropolitan area, this is not commutable to Seattle or Bellevue. Don't live here if you work in Seattle or Bellevue. If you work remote, if you are retired, if you work somewhere closer to the south side here, Gig Harbor is a fantastic location. If I moved to the south side and I didn't drive all the time, helping buyers buy homes, and I worked remote or something and I wanted to live on the south side, Gig Harbor would be the place I would go without question. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it offers a really great community, a wide mix of people here. You've got the downtown area right on the water here. Again, beautiful views of the marina. You've got some restaurants down here that are nice, a little bit of shopping and whatnot here and there. Not overly built out, but enough to do. And then you've got like your main shopping like Costco and stuff up the road. Target is up the road as well. Now, what Gig Harbor offers is a few different things. You can live in an area like Canterwood, which is the golf course community. Very nice community, gated community, very beautiful, a lot of great homes there. So if you want a little bit more of that type of living, you can live there. Outside of that, Gig Harbor is the most quintessential Pacific Northwest living just about that you can get here. You've got water on every side of you all over the place. You've got these neighborhoods. You can see these green neighborhoods all throughout here. Very wooded, very Pacific Northwest feel. So whether you want something that's in the woods and you want acreage, whether you want an acre or 5 or 10 or 20, you can find that in Gig Harbor. Whether you want a home with beautiful water views, you can go anywhere around Gig Harbor. There's options all over the place with homes with great water views. So Gig Harbor really offers quite a bit when it comes to the quintessential Pacific Northwest living at the lower price point, median price point of $800,000. Not an overly competitive market, again, because none of those tech workers or Seattle Bellevue-based workers are moving here. So those bidding wars on those homes don't happen to the extent that they happen closer to Seattle or Bellevue. So this being further removed is kind of it's this almost, I don't want to say a paradise, but it's for people that aren't tied to a commute, but are looking for a more affordable area that's also super nice. Gig Harbor just pops out on that list to them, and they end up really falling in love with it. So I have a lot of people moving there. Next, after Gig Harbor, we're going to talk about Lakewood. I'm not going to talk about these areas too much here. Lakewood and Puyallup and Spanaway. Let's just knock these three out. So Lakewood is median home price is $590,000. Spanaway, $500,000. Oops, that didn't work. Spanaway, $500,000, and Puyallup is $600,000. All right, so these areas, you're not going to live here and commute to Seattle or Bellevue. This is where people live when they're working on the south side, live on the south side, and they're looking for more affordable living. There's shopping in any of these areas. Out here in Lakewood, like there is some really nice homes as you get further out to Stillicombe. I'm not going over Stillicombe specifically on this list, but there is some really nice homes with amazing views that you can find at a little bit more affordable price point just because of the general location of it. But these areas, that this whole just south side of Tacoma, south of Tacoma, people are moving here for more affordable housing options, and that's the main thread through here. Again, I don't have very many people relocating here that ask me about it, want to visit it, enjoy it. Again, I'm not saying it's a terrible place to live. If you're looking for somewhere with more affordable housing, closer to that $500,000 to $600,000 price point, that's definitely an area that you should look in. But I'm not going to spend too much time on it because most of my viewers don't end up looking there. Three more cities here as you go further east, a little bit more desirable. So I will talk about Bonnie Lake. So I mentioned, again, this specific list of 7 in this category, there's 2. I said Gig Harbor, Bonnie Lake is number 2 here for very different reasons than Gig Harbor. So Bonnie Lake, median home price is $685,000. Now, I also mentioned earlier that there's really 2 really large master plan communities in the Seattle metropolitan area. The first one was 10 Trails in Black Diamond. The second one here is Tahale in Bonnie Lake. So you've got Bonnie Lake in town up here. So you've got plenty of shopping. Bonnie Lake is built out, plenty of shopping, places to eat, stuff to do in Bonnie Lake. It's not completely, remote or anything, even though it looks pretty far down here. It's pretty built out and things you can access right in town. But the big reason people move to Bonnie Lake and the reason it's grown so much is Tahale right here. So Tahale is, again, this other master plan community. They have a current phase, Eagle Ridge. There's 5 or 6 builders currently building in Eagle Ridge right now, or Eagle Point. So there's a lot of options for new construction, and again, at a more affordable price point. You want to be under $1 million or even closer to $600,000 to $700,000, you can find new construction here in Tahale. And so that's a big draw. I've made a video specifically on Tahale that's on my channel. If you're interested in, go take a look at it. But that's the big draw for Bonnie Lake, is people coming down here for new construction. So I have a lot of buyers asking about that. Again, if you work on the south side, if you work remote, most people don't commute to Seattle or Bellevue from here, which is why those prices have been kept lower. All right, lastly, I'm going to just talk about Orting and Buckley briefly. So again, when you're on the south side here, Orting price point is $530K, and then Buckley, it's $690. So Buckley is quite a bit higher. It has more, it's just further removed, further east, away from kind of all the hustle and bustle and things going on, when we talked about just directly south of Tacoma. So Orting keeps those prices a little bit lower. Orting's very small. There's not much to do in Orting. It doesn't offer much. You're going to go to other cities for most of your stuff. As you go out here to Buckley, there's a bit more, and I'll just kind of zoom up here, Enumclaw as well. There's a lot of rural acreage opportunities at a more affordable price point than a lot of other acreage opportunities in the metropolitan area. So that's a big reason people kind of come out to this area. All right, well, that wraps up the video here. I know it was a very long one. I appreciate you sticking with me. Maybe you watched the whole thing. Maybe you just skipped around to the sections that you were curious about. But like I said, I'm an active real estate agent here in the greater Seattle area. I help people relocate here in any of these 3 counties when they're coming from out of state, or if you're already local and you're just looking to buy a home, more than happy to help you out. If you have questions on any of these specific areas, you want to dive into them deeper and figure out, okay, you've identified a few areas that make sense for you, but you want some more info on those areas, feel free to contact me, you can fill out my contact form below in the description, or you can just contact me directly and would be happy to chat with you. Thanks for watching this one.